Hi everyone, just Vicky here. What I thought I'd do is just to give you a chance to see the resources. If you couldn't make it tonight, then you can access them via the YouTube, and I'll email you a copy of the slide deck as well. But just really to kind of share the resources so that you've got access to them. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen. I'll quickly jump back onto here. I'll go back to slide 1 so you can see it. So all I wanted to quickly demo with you and show you is using the Microbit in Key Stage 2 up into Key Stage 3, how it would look, what kind of ideas you can use, where you could get the resources, all the different things, just to save you a lot of time so that you can spend that time really developing your skills rather than having to find the planning. Okay, so teachers are the greatest influencers when it comes to kids' engagement with coding, and there's my email address at the bottom, so if you do want to get in contact with me, please feel free. Okay, so the Microbit here, so if you do want to introduce the Microbit to the children, there's a really lovely video here, and I've shared the link here about introduction. It talks to them about the Microbit, about having light display, buttons, sensors, and how you press buttons and you can make things happen. If you've got version 2, there's different versions of the Microbit. I've got a version 1 and a version 2 here, so you might be able to see it on my screen as well here. Version 1, you'll tend to find that the little icon at the top is blue. The version 2, they're gold because that's a sensor now, okay? And you'll spot as well that the new one, and when you look at the back of them, just hold them up, they've got more kind of features, things like built-in microphones and speakers, whereas these old ones you'd have to attach headphones and things to using crocodile clips. So you can see they're the same, but a few more features on that new one. You can still use these. They're brilliant still, so if you've got Microbit ones in the classroom, get them out because you can use them still. Okay, so as you can see, talk to the children and do a little bit of discovery. What can you see on it? What has it got on it? Where do you think the front and the back is? How do you know what's on there? Get the children to explore the Microbit before they start programming it, so they understand what an LED is, and it means it's a a light emitting diode. It's a light. Just getting the children familiar with that. So all I've done is I've put some links on here. You can see them on the side here. So anything I've kind of screenshot, you can access and have a look at yourself. But the link here is to the Microbit website. Okay, so when I click onto it, you've got at the very, very bottom loads of really good videos in terms of sharing knowledge with children. And it's sometimes nice for somebody else to say it so that you don't stumble over your words, and you can get a really good understanding of what an input device is and what a processor is. There's loads of little videos in there. And if there's key things you want to look at on the menu bar, you can just pick out the one thing that you want to focus in. So it'll give you a little bit of top tips or handy help to teach how to do it. There's lots of resources there. Okay. First thing I'm going to look at is getting started, so really getting to know the Microbit with the children. I'm doing pre-teaching before we do any activity with children. We normally do a lot of pre-teaching of skills that they need in order to be successful. Okay, we do this in English and maths. Same with computing, that we're going to teach them how to set it up, how to access the software and push the code across. We want to do this lots of times so it becomes ingrained in their knowledge of what they need to do. Okay, but what you can do is use that link at the very top here, and it takes you across here to lots of little mini projects that you might want to look at. So if I click onto it now, it'll take me across to here, and I've just taken a picture. If I go down and explore, these are all little mini sessions, and depending on where you are in your programming, you might go to intermediate, advanced or beginner. It depends on where you are. Okay, so all of these, and as you click onto them, you get a lovely kind of demo of what it looks like, the code. You get a little lesson plan of what you're doing, how to improve it, what the code should look like, how to push the code across to the Microbit. So there's lots of different things in there for you. Okay, so I'm just going to jump back here. So exploring the projects. So apart from projects, if I've started off with the children, I would get them used to the Microbit, get them really familiar, and then I could start really developing lessons and projects around what I'm going to do. So these lesson resources, again, are on the Microbit website. I'm just going to flick back. I'll go back to that page and you'll just see it there. So these are the projects, the mini ones. They're the lessons. So if I click on the lessons here, you can see all the different lessons here that you can pick from. I'm just going to select, let me go back. I'm going to go on to the volcano one. So this is the type of thing I would do with children to build them up so that they understood how to do this and what it would look like. Okay, so I look at the lesson resources. I think of pre-teaching, what skills do I need to make that, that's concrete knowledge before the children then start to program. Ideas are, I'm going to show them an animation of a volcano so that they're really familiar with a flicker book and how each costume changes, so that we've got it in a sequence. Okay, so they've got that familiarity. I might show them the Microbit screen. So I'm going to say, right, each of these is a little, you can colour these in. How would I build a volcano? What would it look like? So the children can start to colour them in and they get that understanding that this is the LED screen. You might do it with squared paper like this. You might do it with the Microbit display. I just copied these off the internet and created a worksheet for the children to do this. Okay, so what does it look like at the beginning, then after that, finally? Okay, and the idea is that the children build the volcano up so it looks like it's exploding. Okay, then obviously what we would do is I'd talk to the children about how I would then share this with the Microbit. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly jump onto the Microbit here. I'm just going to plug my camera in so you can see what it looks like. So first of all, I'm going to go to the Microbit website. I'm going to go to Let's Code. I'm going to use the Make Code editor because that's the Scratch version, the block-based coding, and I'm going to just pull that one up just because this is what I did earlier. So all I've done, pull this across and just hide it so you can't see it, but you'll understand it in a moment. I use that knowledge from the work that we did before, just flick back. I use that knowledge to help me, and I start showing the children how to build these pictures up. So what was your first picture? Well, the volcano was nice and small. I went on to the second one where the volcano started to get a bit bigger. The third one. And I might do a few shoots off of kind of lava. And then I'm going to pull that last one in, and you can start to see that it's already simulating the work that I've got there. Okay, and then finally I'm going to have the volcano with loads of molten lava flying about the place like so. And then if I press play, I can see it building up. I might decide and investigate with the children that I might start to put a little time lapse in there and have it reduce the time, increase the time. It's totally up to them. And they start to understand this so that they now know that when we press the start button, so press play, it's going to happen. They might want to decide it and put it in a forever loop, so it just happens continuously, like so. They might want to start investigating, well, when I shake it, this is going to happen, like so. And they can build up and build up and build it up. And then obviously if I flick back to this, we've planned, we've scaffolded, we've shown them it unplugged so they don't have to have the gear. Then we've shown them it on here and how it looks. And then what I can do, which is where I'm going to plug in my camera, so apologies for a moment while I just quickly flick that in. This is where I've got so much on my desk. This is where then I can start showing the children what it looks like actually in physical life. So I use my USB. I've got a longer one here, as you can see, but all I would do is just use the cable that came with it, as so. Micro USB, get the children to plug it into the top, understanding where it is, plug it in like so. You'll know it's on because the light will come on, and it possibly come on your computer as well. And then what I can do, hopefully you can see my screen as well, so I'm going to download the code. This is how I always tend to do it because it works this way in schools. Lots of schools have like sometimes have software it prevents it from working in school. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that. I've downloaded, there's my hex code. So when I download it, it will pop down to the bottom of the screen, maybe on the right hand side. It depends on your device. So practice that yourself. I'm going to show in folder. There's my Microbit bit of code, the hex code. I'm going to bring it down, drop it on my Microbit. Your device will say it's sending that across. Depending on how much code you've got. Now I can see on the back here, it's flashing, so I know that that code is going across. and then I'm going to, let's see, but when I shake it, you can see, just about see it. I'll just see if I can make this screen a little bit easier for you to see. There we are. So when I shake it, it creates the code like so. Now I'll jump back to here. I'll just leave that there so you can see it. So we've got the code here. I'm just going to quickly flip back to my presentation. You've also got Code Club, which have got loads of good resources. So if you're completely new to using the Microbit, these are really good resources, because it'll do a lot of problem solving with you and tell you kind of where things might go wrong or what you need to consider or ask the children. So if you just zoom down to the Microbit there's loads of little resources here. So I'm going to go on to Interactive Badge. It shows you, gives you the instruction. It does a printed version, so you can print it off. It displays step by step what you need to do, so you can practice this at home. Have it in front of you. It talks to you about how you download it as well and how you might do that, how you set up your Microbit, the code that you might want to use with the children, and how to set it up and make sure that it's working. So it gives you, and it tells you exactly what your screen should look like. Okay, so there's some really great resources there. I think there's when I looked on there, I think there was maybe 5 or 6, but there's lots of different ones for you there. Just have a go at with the kids. Okay, if you're linking it to computing, art, science, or DT, there's loads of lesson resources. So when I talked to you before about those lessons in here there's lots of different lessons that you might want to look at. So, you know, getting active, linking it to your PE and data handling, energy awareness, nature and art. But you've got lots of lessons here that will take you through. And if they've got the little eyes here, the Microbit eyes, you'll normally have an example of the code, so you can just download the code and use that and tinker with it. Okay. So assessment and project making. So, you know, once you develop your confidence, what you can then start to do is use something called Microbit Classroom. And this is really good for teachers to be able to assess where the children are, give them projects to start off with, this prim approach where you have something that's already made and you investigate it, then you get something that's half made and the children can add to it, or you give them the blocks and they've got to organise it. And if you keep building up this idea of being familiar with the code and how it's put together, there's more likelihood that the children are going to then be able to use it themselves. Okay, so on here I'm just going to quickly I'll click on what I've already got there. So all I do is when I'm working with the children, you've got instructions, editor, dashboard, student code, and the classroom. So I'm just going to show you the dashboard first of all. The children, to log in, all they do is they copy this across and they type it into a Safari search or on the laptop. Microbit.org.join. You can even put this on things like Seesaw or Google Classroom, just so they've got a quick link. And what you get is, for the piece of work they're doing, they'll get some passwords to try and get in. So at the minute it's orange, panda, sailboat, saxophone, and then we've got a pin. So all I'm going to do is demo this. So I'm going to go across, type in, well, I've typed it in, pretend I have, and then it asks me. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly flick back to where I was, just make sure I'll get rid of that. I'll get rid of there, orange, panda, sailboat, saxophone. Orange, panda, sailboat, saxophone. And then I'm just going to jump back. Was it that? Yeah, there it is. And I'm just going to copy the pin. You can display this on the board for the children. I'm just jumping between 2 screens, but you get the idea. So continue. And the children will be asked when they log in, what is their name? So if they've got a pseudonym or a name that they use in school, you've only got access to this. Nobody else has. It's not published. Okay. So the children, this is them logging in. This is their little screen. If you shared a project with them, it'll show them. So at the minute, there's nothing on there. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard. This is me as the teacher. I know Vicky's joined, so she's in. That's fine. I can see who else has joined and I can show them. I'm going to go back to the editor and I'm going to make my project for the children. So I've made a bit of a harder one because we're doing a selection. This is for a year 6 class, year 5, 6, and we're going to play a game called Yes, No, Maybe, where we're going to ask lots of questions to our friends in our silly Microbit is going to give us the answer. Okay, do you like to wear dresses? Do you like to eat spaghetti bolognese? You know, all silly questions the children can come up with, and the Microbit's going to choose. So I give them the code like this. I've worked through it with the children so they know how to use it, and all I do is I share code with the student. So I send Vicky the code, and then Vicky is going to use my code. There she is. That's my code now. So what I can do as the teacher is watch how Vicky is working. I can even jump into her work and say, oh, well, I suggest maybe you could use this or add this in. I'm just going to go to student code. There we are. I can look at where Vicky is. I can add things in, see how she's doing, see where she's put things, and I can do a bit of assessment. Now, when you're working, you might find that in the middle of a session you have to leave and you think, oh, the kids have done such good work, how do I save it? How do I come back to it in another lesson? So all you need to do is you head over to Save Classroom, and it gives you the instructions. So do you want to download it or do you want to end the session? Well, I want to download that file because I want to come back to it. And then what I do is I just click onto it and it pops a little link at the bottom here in your downloads. What I can do is go and show in folder, and there it is. And what I can do is go and save that into a folder, into my documents, maybe within a Microbit folder, and just say that's lesson 1. Okay. If I want the children to resume the lesson, I can double click on it. I'll get rid of that just because it's downloading. I'll do a different one that was done earlier there. It'll ask you, do you want to resume the session? Yes, I do. You just click on resume and it'll come back on. Okay. I think it's just because my computer's opened it in Internet Explorer, so I'll just get rid of that and pop it into here so you can see. So it's asked me, do I want to download it? Do I want to open it back up? Yes, I do. Resume the classroom. There we go. I'm back in, so I can just carry on with that session and the kids can log in and carry on with the session. The only thing to note with this is if you are working on a project, this is one project, the kids have been working on this. If I went onto a completely new project, when I come to the student code here to get in, just let it load. There we are. That information may change. So don't go printing this off for everybody and use it as a password each week. This will change to make sure that the children are safely accessing the resources. Okay, so just a very brief have a go, with that, but it is really, really good fun. You've also got as well, if you're looking for a scheme of work in terms of you want to develop your knowledge and you want to be using Microbit for a good half term, there is a programming in year 6, there's a programming unit with assessment where there's lesson plans, there's overviews, there's learning graphs and an assessment little sheet. So you can see here that I want all the children to be expected really, but there might be some children that are merging and there might be some children that are exceeding. So depending on how many of these they get, 1, 2, 3, I would put a 3 of score in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, a 9 in here if they've got them all. They might sometimes be a 4, they might be a 7, but it gives you that idea of where they are in terms of in relation to everybody else. So you might do this as a group or you might do it as individual if you want to, or you might do it for your extremes like you're very able or you're least able, so that you've got assessment for those two groups, and then pick children who represent the secure expected group in the middle. Okay, but you've got the little URL at the top here, the little link, and you've also got Key Stage 3. So if you did want to start looking at Python and how to use Python with the Microbit, there's a lesson resources there. Okay, so I think that was the end of the session. I obviously showed people online a little bit more in terms of how it looked, but what I will show you now, I'll stop sharing the screen and I'll just show you my iPad, just because some people aren't aware that if you have, I'll just turn it around so you can see my full screen. If you have a computer or a Chromebook, yes, you can use the Microbit as plugged in. But if you have got iPads in school, you can use your iPad. So you can use, let's get rid of that one. You can use Microbit Classroom, but you can also use an app, which is dead easy to get on. So I'm just going to quickly show you. I'll get rid of it so it's off. So on my iPad at the very, very bottom, you can just see, you can just download it in the App Store, but I've got a Microbit Classroom, sorry, a Microbit app here. So this is just mimicking what the children would do if they just went on to Microbit and started to code. So the first thing I would do is I would choose the microbit. So I'm telling it's going to work for Bluetooth, okay? And that's on the version 1 or the version 2, it doesn't matter. This is the version 2, okay? So I'll go back to home. First thing I do is choose the microbit, and at the bottom it says pair the new microbit, so I'm just going to do that. I do follow all the instructions, so that's button A, button B, and the reset buttons on the back here. So I hold it down to build a wall. 1, 2, 3. There we are, okay. I press next, and I have this pattern on here that I have to mimic the same pattern from the microbit onto here. So mine is 4, 4, and each one's got its own individual one there, and I click next. Okay, read the instructions, press next again. It'll ask me, I'm trying to connect. There we are. I've got in the middle, you can't just see it, but it says Bluetooth pairing request. Do I allow? Yes, I do. Okay, now this is connected to here, so I'm going to just click OK, and I'm going to go to home, create code. So all I'm going to do is very quickly do, let's bring this down so you can see a little bit more. I'm going to just really quickly do the session I was looking at before. So obviously you can just see with your finger how you just, I'm going to do it on shake, and I'll put 2 pictures in so you can see the difference between them. My volcano and it exploding, so there's the molten lava going everywhere. So all I do now, I'm just going to pull it down so you can see a download button at the bottom here. All I do is click it. It'll ask me, it's searching for my device. Just let it do that. Okay, I can press continue. Now if it, just allow it to do it. So if it doesn't do it, all you need to do is reset microbit. So I'm just going to click show how. I press A, B, back, let go. I'm holding these 2 down at the front, but I've released the back. Press continue. Flashing code to microbit, and you'll know if it's working because it'll start to flash and let you know. And then it says flashing successful. So when I shake it now, I've got my volcano erupting on the screen. Now the biggest problem I would say with using a microbit and an iPad is just because it uses Bluetooth, it depends on how many devices have been attached to your iPad. So if ever it just won't pair, you've gone through it 2-3 times and it just won't work. I always show the children this, that we go into, and remember they're year 6, so they're able to do this. You can see what I've been watching on my iPad. I go into Bluetooth and I look at what's connected via my Bluetooth. So if you've got lots of microbits, it might be trying to talk to the wrong microbits. All I do is I go in, I'll disconnect that one and forget this device. You might teach a few children to do this, forget this device, okay? And then it means that when you go back to pair it up again, when I download the code and I pair it up again, it will probably work straight away, okay? So that's just a little bit of advice in terms of your microbits. But if you are using, and some people say, oh, well, I want to be able to use a Microbit Classroom. I'm going to just quickly get the page that I need for, apologies, because I'm just going to flip back. So I'm going to do Microbit. So if I'm on the iPad, .org/join. If you find the children find this hard, I just put this URL here at the top. I just put that onto Seesaw or Google Classroom, so the children just go into their Google Classroom, click on it, and they're in. It'll ask me the same things. Who am I? So I am indigo. I am animal, hamster. Oh, hamster. Transport, fire engine. And last one, trophy. And the pin is, and this will change every time, remember, so don't print them off, because I've found that before. I've printed them thinking I was going to be fine. Which number have I done? 570416, indigo, hamster, fire engine, trophy. Let's do the pin again just in case I put it in wrong. 570416. Continue. I think I've done something wrong there, but you can, I'll just do indigo, hamster, fire engine, trophy. It might be that this is signed out and it might run its course, so I'll just quickly create a new one on here just so I can show you. Student code dashboard. Right, I'm going to do a different one just because I've got a different one open. Orange panda sailboat and saxophone. Pin 590942. Yeah, so that's let me in. I've entered my name. I'm just going to say I'm called Jill, so it's a different name. And if the teacher shared code, so for example, I can see here the screen's coming on. I'm going to go to my editor and I'm just going to share the code with the child. Send it to Jill and Vicky. Yep, use code. It comes up and the children can see the code here that I've shared with them, so they can start to, and then they can download it and send it to their Microbit. So that shows you how to do it on the iPad, and it shows you how to do it on the screen as well. So I hope that's been helpful, but you don't need, if you are using obviously the iPad, you wouldn't use your little cable, just purely because you're working on an iPad. Okay, so I hope that's been helpful. If you've got any questions, please feel free, as I said, to get in touch with me. I'll quickly share that screen again, so you've got my details. Let me pop it on. There we go. I'll just quickly share my screen. So there's my details at the very bottom there. So if you do want to get in contact with us, or if you're interested in using the Microbit, you can access these from the computing hubs now. So for example, if you haven't got Microbits in your school, you can access a half class set or class set, so one between two of these resources. And also we will provide you with some ideas of where to go for resources and quick things that you can do and support you in terms of the delivery. Okay, so just get in contact with us and we can help you there. Okay, I hope this has been helpful. I hope you can use it to support yourself, and if you haven't been able to attend this session, then you can access this and get a little bit of support. Okay, but I will speak to you all very soon, and I hope you all have a lovely half term. It's very well deserved, so hopefully we'll see you very soon.